You know what they say about the first game of the final?
It's someone's going to be up 1-0.
No, it's a close shave.
Oh,
There's a close shave, but not closer than you'll get with Manscaped, which you don't even have to shave. It's a trimmer. You see? Dangle, 20% off, free shipping. Let's start the show.
The Steve Dangle Podcast, powered by Sports Interaction, Canada's sportsbook.
SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Where's the clapping, guys? Come on, help me out here with the clapping. Come on.
For what? I want to know what I'm clapping.
What a game Mikko Lehtinen had.
U.S. Open.
Mikko Lehtinen with the best game.
The golf claps for Rory McIlroy.
Did I ever tell you I let him on the simulator ride at the zoo? No, wait. Oh, wait. No.
Did you?
How was
Rory McIlroy?
How was
Who's the Canadian guy? Isn't that Rory
That's Adam
McIlroy?
Hadwin.
No. Rory McIlroy won the Canadian Open. That's probably why you're getting confused.
And Adam
Who's the
Hadwin.
guy who won
Mike
the Masters
Weir.
forever ago?
Mike Weir.
Mike Weir. That was the one.
Jeez.
I don't know the name of the golfers.
Oh my gosh, that's a swing and a miss. How was your overtime call?
Better.
Yeah,
I got the right guy.
you did. That's good. That's good. You know, I did want to ask you a question because you know you're in there in that moment. Do you think that like when you do these games and that sort of thing, do you feel like you're sort of narrating the game, or you're reacting to the game, or how does it work for you? Because you're not play calling in the traditional way, right?
No, but it's become a little of both, and I don't know when I slipped into it.
Right.
Like I feel like it used to be a little bit more conversational, and now it's kind of half and half.
Okay.
Like
Is it working for you?
I like it. I really enjoy. Like I'm struggling right now. I'm struggling because the lazy person in me wants this to be over in 4. The hockey fan in me wants this to go to 7 quintuple overtime because the games are really fun and I'm having a lot of fun covering them. As soon as the game starts, I'm into it. But it's one of those things where like, oh, I got work tomorrow night. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Even if you love your job, I still think you'd rather be doing nothing.
The play-by-play thing is interesting because on the streams, like I usually watch one period and then one period on the broadcast.
That's interesting.
But on your broadcast, you hear the play-by-play.
But
So
I can't.
I'm watching, and sometimes it's double play-by-play.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it distracting?
No, because I'm more listening to you. But if you miss anything, I still hear the play-by-play.
I think we might have to at least get the game sound pumped in.
Yeah.
Because way too often, it's not until I see the replay, I'm like, oh shit, that hit the post. Because
Yeah,
I can't hear it.
you need that at some point.
I think I do.
Yeah.
I think I do. That'd be the one thing I would change. But to hear Chris Cuthbert or whoever is calling the game while I'm calling the game, I think would be distracting.
Right. For you.
For
Yeah.
me.
But for the audience, it really helps.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a good
glad.
thing.
I mean, everyone seems to enjoy it.
Yeah.
We peaked at 16,000 people watching at once, which for a Stanley Cup Final with no Canadian team on a broadcast you can only watch in Canada because no one has a VPN.
and in late at night
no
for a lot
one.
of people.
And late at night, especially the overtime part. Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's 43 people less than Game Over Cup Final.
Wow.
Yeah, they did about 17. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, sorry.
Damn.
Sorry.
done.
Yeah, Andrew beat you.
Hey, so let me ask you guys a question here because we're going to work backwards a bit with this game. You're Andre Burakovsky and you're taking an early shift in overtime. Okay. You're a 16-minute per game player normally, but these playoffs, you've been cut to 12.
Ooh.
You were scratched for 2 games in the Edmonton series because the coach said you weren't reliable enough.
Wow.
And then you come back and you take an Evan Bouchard shot off the ankle
Yeah.
and you hobble around.
God, that looked painful.
So you finally, you're in. You're getting a shot early in overtime. You scored 22 goals this year. And I just wondered if you guys have ever thought about what it might feel like the following 5 seconds after you score the goal like Andrei Burakovsky did. Are you able to, 5 years from now, I don't know, 15 minutes after, remember the first 5 seconds after that goal goes in?
Oh, man. No. I think it's a blur.
Has to be, right?
I think it's a blur because it's just you getting... a lot of my memories are based on the images I see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, got one of those photographic memories. That's why, like those Matthews compilations you make fun of me for watching in the summer, I can picture every goal. How do you picture getting mobbed by 25 people? How do you remember that? All you see is, ah!
Do you remember the feeling?
You definitely remember the feeling. You can't. I think it's one of those things where you might not be able to picture it, but you can't help but instantly smile because that dude scores memorable goals.
He sure does.
He had at least one OT winner with the Caps during the 2018 run.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I can't remember which game that was, but that's got to feel so good. He was great all game, I thought. And I was terrified from a play-by-play perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, okay, so the quality of the feed that I think everyone sees is better than the one I do. And the Avalanche have a 92, a 96, and a 95.
Right.
And they're all left-handed.
Ooh.
It sucks. It sucks.
That's hard.
Yeah, it is hard, man. I hate it. I called Logan O'Connor Nathan McKinnon because they look the same.
They don't
Sucks.
play the same, though.
No.
They don't play the same.
There was one, I don't think it was in the Tampa's game. I think it was in the series against the Oilers, where I was like, Nathan McKinnon is in this foot race, and I'm like, oh man, you'd think he'd win that, and he turns around slightly, and it's Logan O'Connor. And I'm like, oh shit. But yeah, I said Andrei Burakovsky with my whole chest, and I really wanted it to be him. And luckily it was.
I didn't know this. I was reading Peter Baugh from The Athletic. I guess Burakovsky went and worked with a sports psychologist this summer in Colorado because he's so hard on himself that like it got to the point where it becomes a little bit destructive. Yeah. And he's like known for breaking sticks during power play drills if he's not performing well enough. So I guess it gets in the way sometimes of his own talent because he's so hard on himself.
I believe it, man. I think it's probably one of the most underrated. That's one of the most underrated people you can employ. Probably is a sports psychologist. I love that CJ story he was telling about Clark MacArthur. Remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, and he was just he was completely down on himself. He speaks to the sports psychologist for like an hour. Next time CJ talks to him, he's like, "Yeah, I'm scoring tonight." Like just very matter of fact, and then he did in a playoff game against the Bruins in 2013, I think it was. It's a long season. These guys are all their entire childhoods the best player on their team, probably at worst second or third best because they grew up playing with guys who are also going to be in the NHL,
right? Especially in Sweden and Finland, where the pool's a bit smaller. They all know each other, came up through the same ranks,
or Newmarket.
Yeah.
Newmarket.
Yeah.
Travis Dermott, Sam Bennett, and Connor McDavid were all on the same team as 7-year-olds playing against Mitch Marner. Like it's wild.
Wow.
But you expect a certain level of yourself. And Burakovsky, I'm pretty sure was first round pick. He was like mid first round pick. He was supposed to be
he's 22nd overall or something like that. There's
something in there. And a lot was expected of him. I think it's pretty safe to say he's still probably not the player he was projected to be, but he's carved out a decent career. But one of the things you probably don't think about as a first round pick is dropping down in the lineup the further your career goes on. You know, like this is, he hasn't played this consistently low in the lineup probably since he was a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
Here he is.
Game
one hero.
The article you were reading, Adam, did it mention Nathan McKinnon and sports psychology? Because I know he's been one of the largest advocates for it, like dating back to as long ago as like 2018, 2019. And he visited a sports psychologist and like he credits that a lot for taking him to the elite level. like him spending a lot of time with the psychologist and getting him in the right front. Maybe I'm completely out just guessing, but maybe that's an influence that McKinnon had on the rest of the team, and like Burakovsky, maybe he gets that motivation from McKinnon, who's been doing this for a while. I don't know if that was in there.
Summer podcast idea. We got to have one on. We need a sports psychologist.
Yeah, because that's a great idea, actually.
Well, like, what's the difference between like just a psychologist and a sports psychologist? I want to know.
Sports psychologist calls you bro when you walk into the room.
Yeah.
Hey, bro. Oh man, I feel so much more comfortable.
How are you feeling, bro?
I'm gonna call.
Or is it bro?
McKinnon.
How are you feeling?
I'm gonna call up McKinnon, sports psychologist, and see what he can do.
There you go. Yeah. Do you know who it is?
Yeah, Googleable.
Cool. No, they didn't talk about McKinnon in this particular article because it was more like a piece on Burakovsky and where he sort of stands, and I thought it was interesting. But and I remember like the first guy I can remember like openly admitting to it, because it was back in the day. It was like, oh, you don't talk about that, is Roy Halladay. Roy Halladay was like brutal on himself, and he has this pitcher with all these amazing qualities, and the Jays just couldn't figure him out, couldn't get him. He had one game where he was almost a perfect game, and then the next he's like being sent back down to AA or whatever, and then he talked to a sports psychologist, and I think he continued to, and that's how he maintained his cool. Right. And I remember, Steve, you used to, when you were an intern at the Fan 590, you used to go and do Jays games, but you would do the away team audio, right? So you'd go to the away dressing room. Yeah. And what did they tell you about Roy Halladay games?
Well, so the first game I ever covered, I've told the story before, but I still love it. First game I ever covered, it was 14 innings, and I missed the last train home, and I had to crash at a friend's apartment. It sucked. Second game, I was, just like, again, nervous intern and trying to make small talk, and the Sportsnet reporter was Barry Davis, and I'm like, oh yeah, the last game I did was that 14 inning one a couple of weeks ago or whatever. He's like, oh, Roy Halladay's pitching tonight. Don't worry, we'll be out of here by 9:30. And the game was over at 9:25. Roy Halladay was ridiculous.
Just a monster.
And Halladay's mental health, like, we know it was kind of a tragic end, and when his death, we learned about his drug addiction. So I wonder how much that played into his just throughout his career, and having to have a psychologist and all that.
One of the things, I was actually talking to someone about this yesterday. Like, there are the older I get and the more I talk to people like within sports, the more I realize there's so much we miss and there's so much we don't take into account. And like, if a player has a shitty game, you're like, what the fuck was that? But like, there's so much that goes into the what the fuck was that. And one of the things is like, some people don't like flying. Mm-hmm. Like, imagine how hard it would be to, like, we probably all have friends who don't like taking the plane. Mm-hmm. They don't like going anywhere, even for vacation. Think of how hard it would be to be a professional athlete in an 82 game regular season, and you got to go on the road 41 times doing something that you're legitimately terrified to do.
162 and it's 81.
Oh my God. And baseball, that's even worse.
Yeah, all summer, all year. Flights
all summer, all
every
year.
4 days.
Now, who didn't like flying?
Like a few professional athletes that I know of. Yeah.
Oh, okay. We weren't mentioning because obviously Roy was flying when he died. I wondered if there was some sort of connection there.
I was mid-story when I realized that.
It was just that wasn't the connection you were trying to make. No.
Yeah, it was. Sorry, that's a terrible coincidence.
Yeah,
but it's interesting. Think about something stupid like this, like how great it feels, even when you do go on vacation, how great it feels to come back to your own bed, right? Now imagine you're sleeping not in your own bed the whole season, or the whole season, or whatever. Or you're Tampa and you're playing at an oxygen level that's lower than what you're used to because it's thinner in Denver.
I get guys, like I always talk about like how Jerome McGinley was notoriously impossible to get a hold of in the off season. I get it. Yeah, I get it, man. I get it. Listen. I don't get to see my family as often as I would like to. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Not even rudely, just no, this is my time now.
Yeah. I've done your time. This is my time. Yeah. And it seems like in retirement he's kind of taking the same track. It's like, I'm just going to focus on my kids and focus on my life, and you're not going to know anything about me.
Well, you know why I don't want to do a summer interview? Because I do like at least 5 interviews a week.
Yeah, 100%. Now, back to the Stanley Cup Finals for a second. Listen, the Avalanche deserved this game the whole time, but they let the Lightning in a couple of times, right?
The comeback was very impressive by the Lightning.
This is the conversation I keep having with myself. Did the Avalanche let the Lightning back in, or did the Lightning kick down the door?
Well, here's why I feel like it was a let in. And you guys could debate me on this one. the Avs outshot them all game. And it was by a pretty wide margin.
Yep.
So the reason I feel like maybe this is the Vasilevsky difference, TM, is that I think, when you look at the shot margin that wide, I thought Colorado dominated a good chunk of that play, but they let things happen like that. Fucking Andre Palat, Kucherov to Palat play. They're going to do that to you all series. They've done that all playoffs. Those
against
two.
One of the best pairs in hockey.
What do you even do about that?
That's despicable,
right?
That's despicable.
And I think we understood going into the series that there's a goaltender differential, and as you said with Jeff Merrick, you should just call hockey goalie.
Yep.
But I do feel like there were times where the Avs could have been. I mean, you got to find a way to stop those things, right? If you're up 2-0 and then you're up 3-1 and they still tie at 3-3, I feel like you let them back in. And I know the Lightning are great. That's what they'll do. That's my opinion on it. Now, I'm assuming you guys disagree.
It's like Darren Helm screened Kemper, I thought, on the third goal.
Mm-hmm.
So like you could say the Avs let them back in that way. It may be the reason Tampa scored 2 goals in 40 seconds is because the Avs let up on the details for even a moment.
And they'll do that.
A micro fraction of a second. They will do that. Tampa, man, like I would bet on Tampa splitting the series in Colorado, and it's got nothing to do with Colorado. Like it's got nothing to do with them. And also, like, that wasn't Tampa's final form. It's not Colorado's either. Like, they might get Kadri back, they might get Cogliano back.
Yep.
But like, you got Braden Point looking good at 30%. Looking, come see, come saw.
Yeah. You're being nice.
He did score.
I am being nice. He drew a call.
Yeah, he looked injured though.
Did he not score?
Oh, he did, because he is.
Yeah.
I have a theory. It's because he is. He didn't.
He didn't score.
No.
Why did I have that? Anyway,
That's my point.
sorry, go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, so you were saying it's not Tampa's final form. And like
No.
Colorado, I thought I don't want to say dominated the third period, but the third period was theirs, and they didn't get a goal.
Yep.
That's true.
And going into overtime, you look at Colorado and you're like, okay, they were the better team throughout that entire period, and then you get to overtime, and Pat Maroon charging the net, and he has a chance to win it.
Man.
Especially after that shot out of the thing.
After taking the penalty, he has a redemption on his stick, and they stop it, fortunately for Colorado. But, that doesn't... I don't want it to take away from your confidence. Like if I'm Colorado, that, hey, we played so well and they still were just one shot away here from winning. But it scares me. It scares me a little if I'm them.
Yeah, but you got to win that mental battle with yourself. Because I feel like Colorado's been battling that all playoffs. And like, what a great problem to have is you're always the better team. And Colorado's job in these playoffs is to just be themselves, which is the better team, and just not screw it up. So this isn't the first time they've been better, almost lost, so hopefully they can, be confident that even if we're less than perfect next time, we can win. Well, we've been doing it all playoffs.
And one of the things I got to be excited about, and we talked about this before the series started on Monday, I think it was Monday's show. Or Wednesday, it doesn't matter.
I don't know.
Jared Bednar not avoiding he's got home ice advantage. He could avoid McKinnon Cirelli. And instead, what he does, he goes, my best player is better than their best defensive player. And here's these numbers. Okay, so the numbers for the Avalanche's top line is an 85.71 Corsi 4.
Gee.
And they out-attempted Tampa when that line was on the ice. Are you ready for this? 18-3.
Wow.
McKinnon alone had 13 shot attempts.
This is the part where I be Galaxy Brain Hockey Man. Yes, you're talking about Nathan McKinnon, one of the best players in the world. But let me focus on Valerie Nichushkin,
who was great.
Dude, he was fantastic. He was absolutely fantastic. And I think you can look at that line on paper and go, okay, there's a potential black hole there, like where offense goes to die. Because that's what's happened previously in his career. It's not the case.
No, if you watch him at all during these playoffs, you're like, he's holding his own on that line.
Strange player, like weird career trajectory for sure,
Yeah.
but he's a beast right now.
Yeah, I want to change my pick as well. Avs in 6.
After one game?
Yeah.
Have you never watched Tampa?
No.
right.
When they're peaking, they're too good.
So you're changing from you had Avs in 7.
Yeah.
So you're changing to Avs in 6.
Yeah, and if they get the one tonight, I'm going Avs in 5.
Oh, stop.
I'm going to keep dropping it down. No,
You never saw the Rangers series?
when the Avs are playing at their best and Tampa is playing at their best, the Avs are the better team.
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
When
think so.
the two teams
I don't
are
think
going
so.
head to head, 1-1, their peaks, the Avs are a better team.
It's tough because I go, well, Braden Point.
Nazem
but
Kadri.
Nazem Kadri. And yeah, I'm doing my Chell ratings right now.
To me, it's
in
the
my
goalies.
head.
That's the game breaker. It's the goalies.
Well, then it's Tampa in 4. Like,
Just say, if we're talking head to head, yes. I think
On paper.
On
the
paper.
games are played on paper.
you know what's wild is Jesse is. You're far more likely to get Avs in 6 than Avs in 7. If this goes 7, you're essentially taking shots against God. Like, I don't know. Dude,
Turn a gun at a cloud.
like, no, I meant hockey shots, man. Like, Abe Simpson. No, I'm talking about. No, I'm talking about his .991 save percentage in series clinching games.
Oh, you're talking about Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yes. No, I'm not talking about like you criticizing like I don't know about this.
Yeah.
Why am I allergic to ice cream? Like I don't. That's not what I meant. Shots
Which
at God.
Jesse is, by
I
the
meant
way, and don't
shots
sit next
on
to him
net,
after he's had
And Vasilevsky
dairy.
plays like Zeus. Is what I meant.
He does. He does.
Yeah, but
God of Thunder.
one team's better than the other team, and I'm going to take that team.
I have to
Avs
say
in
though,
six.
Hockey.
John
Since
Cooper.
when does being the better team matter?
In the Stanley Cup Final, when everybody's at their peak and they're playing their best.
John Cooper said that was not the Lightning at their best, but not at the expense of how good Colorado was, because he said that in the Leaf series too. This time he said, "Wait a second, though. I'm not saying Colorado wasn't great. I'm just saying we were not our best."
The third time in 4 series, Tampa has dropped game 1, and they're in the Cup Final.
I think he's okay.
Yeah, they're fine. They're fine, man.
Braden Point, 18 minutes. I mean, listen, not bad. What I loved about what Gerard Gallant had to say about the Lightning, I don't know if you caught these quotes, but they asked him after the season was over and the locker cleanup, they're like, what was it that how did the Lightning really get to you guys? And he said, I think they were patient. They weren't trying to force it. They were trying to play a shootout game. They weren't trying to play a shootout game with the talent and skill they have. They didn't want to play that game with us. They were really patient. We were a young team that made mistakes. We saw that. They scored on the power play a little bit, and they took advantage of a few mistakes. But it wasn't like they were trying to open it up or play a wide open game despite the skill they have. They have played a real defensive and safe game, and it paid off for them. And I think that's sort of what happened with the Lightning in the comeback this game, right? It's patient, find your spots, bang, and it's in.
Something to look for is Victor Hedman didn't have he had a less than
A little
Victor
bit of a
Hedman
sloppy
game.
run around the board there and led to a goal.
Well, in game 6, Alexei Lafreniere beans him right in the head. Like he hits one of the tallest defensemen in the league in the head. Nothing ever came of it.
Yeah.
And
he took another bad hit last game in game 1. Did he get crushed
trying to remember.
along the near the penalty box?
I don't remember.
Is that who I'm thinking of? Who got
There were
crushed?
a few big hits.
Yeah.
Josh Manson
I'll pull it up.
wrecked Anthony Cirelli. He hit someone else really hard too. Colorado wasn't afraid.
No.
No. Am I reading too much into it that Tampa didn't have the energy for the after the whistle stuff because of the altitude potentially? Because it felt like they were easier on Colorado than I expected.
Or maybe they didn't get a week off.
I'm thinking of the Sorelli hit on the Manson hit on Sorelli.
Yeah, but that's
not
clean.
the Hedman one. Oh yeah, it's 100% clean.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just thought it was Hedman. It was Sorelli.
Yeah, that's so.
And yeah, it was right near the bench. He got crushed.
Cirelli's played such a ridiculous amount of hockey in his life. This is now his, third straight Cup Final.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was on the bubble team.
Don't put disrespect on Patrick Maroon.
No, I know.
He's played a lot of
adding
hockey.
to the list. But the reason I said it for Cirelli is Memorial Cup champion Anthony Cirelli, captain of the Oshawa Generals, 2015 Memorial Cup champions.
All right,
some
Sam
respect.
Cosentino.
That's right. He shut down Connor McDavid.
Hey, what was that a bad thing?
No.
Want to fight about
It's
it?
actually a compliment because I'm saying you're knowledgeable about junior stuff.
Nazem Kadri considered day-to-day at this point, so he could be back. I have a question about the Avs barn. First off, will Avs fans single-handedly reunite Blink-182?
You're not gonna yell the name?
What? No, you do it.
No, Adam.
I'm not doing it.
I'm not the guy on the show who yells the word.
I'm not doing it.
The name of the arena, Adam. You have underwear with that word on it.
I'm not doing it. I'm not a dancing pony.
What is happening?
I won't do it.
Okay.
Adam. Say it!
What's the name of the arena, Adam? There we go.
Sorry. God. Yeah! Dance.
Yeah. No.
Will Avs fans single-handedly reunite Blink-182?
Yeah.
Like,
It was awesome.
if you're Blink, you got to be considering it. Like, they have another guy, but it's not Mark, Tom, and Travis right now.
No.
It's Mark, Tom, and guy who went off to study UFOs. One of them left actually and is like a UFOologist.
I
don't know.
And he's
Forgot
won like
about
awards and stuff. And he was like a big part of like what NASA released on UFOs a couple
That's
weeks
kinda
ago.
cool.
It is
He's
pretty
like
neat.
an actual
Is it-
scientist.
Yeah, I can't tell. I don't even know if it's Mark or Tom. I think it's.
I don't
Yeah.
know the names.
I think it's Tom DeLonge. Tom.
The
Anyway.
one in the what the fuck meme. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, that is how I identify people.
The second thing is, and I want to ask you this honestly: do the Avs, and this title moves places a lot? Like you remember the Nashville run in 2016? Do the Avs hold the current title for most fun building in the NHL
No.
this season?
No. Vegas.
Still?
Fans? No.
Yeah.
No way. Vegas cannot. No way. They are not that loud. No way.
Oh, you're talking about loudness?
I'm talking about loud fun. I'm not talking about atmosphere. I'm talking about the fan group. I think what Avs fans are doing right now, they deserve to have the moniker as most fun group of fans. And everybody's like, well, my team was eliminated. No. Throughout the playoffs, the Avs have had the best fans. Period.
Here's what it is.
Oh, best.
And I know you're wondering. How is he going to do it?
What?
How is Steve going to make this about the Leafs?
Oh, let's do it.
Leafs fans, hear me. You can take a lesson from the Colorado Avalanche and their fans. 100%. Because we always look at the Leafs and we're like, oh man, the Leafs always beat themselves. They beat themselves. They're in their own head. They're nervous. They cave in the big moments. Projecting much? You cave.
What do you mean?
You cave.
What are you talking about?
Scotiabank Arena has the most nervous energy in it in the entire National Hockey League.
Okay, I'll give you that.
The entire
give
National
you that.
Hockey League. We watched the game in borderline stone silence, and then, okay. We're dead silent until something happens because we're basically vibrating the entire game.
Please
with
let something good happen.
anxiety.
Please let something good happen.
And then the second the puck crosses the blue line into the Leaf zone, it says fuck, 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 fuck. The entire time. It's borderline louder in the defensive zone than it is in the offensive zone. We're just praying that nothing bad happens, and then we wonder why nothing but bad things seem to happen.
Jesse,
Yeah.
for Game 7, was that your impression? Because I tell you, I thought I got a different impression out of the
The third period was nervous.
third
The
period.
first two, it was electric.
yeah.
Good.
I think you're underrating the Leafs. I think you're being a little too
I think there's
critical.
been a change in the
improving.
group.
Yeah.
I think Jesse's right. There's been a change in the fan group.
Yeah.
It's been improving. It's
No,
been improving.
but you weren't there during this play. You weren't there during these playoffs.
And I didn't hear it.
Yeah,
didn't hear it at all.
Yeah, you're
No,
calling
but
the game.
I heard a bunch of the other ones.
Steve, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I'll say this: there was like with Leafs fans going into Game 7 against Tampa, it was like a little bit of a resignation. Like we better leave it all out because
Yeah.
listen, we've seen so many Game 7 losses. It's like fucking throw another one at me, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm still coming back.
You can't kill what's already dead.
100%.
Go, Leafs, go.
That's what the attitude felt like. And when that Tavares goal went in, I remember looking at
Oh.
Jesse and went,
10 seconds.
like just it was like guttural scream. And then the absolute, you can't, like the air was sucked out of
Yeah.
the place.
Oh.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
And then Morgan Riley tied it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The atmosphere was incredible up until midway through the third when everybody kind of was like, "Oh, this is actually we're not going to do it."
See?
But that's the team's losing, and we're about to be eliminated. That's a whole different thing than saying the atmosphere is all nervous all the time. That was
maybe not all the time.
Maybe that was that 3 years ago, but not anymore.
It's easy to be optimistic in the first period.
That's how it used to be. The Leafs fans were great this year.
Listen. The hockey games are easy, medium, hard. And then overtime is whatever you call it, hardest. Like in terms of mood, it's easy to be optimistic in the first, a little harder in the second, but you can do it. Third period, that's where it's hard. And that's where it feels like we crumble. The Avs coughed up a 2-goal lead in 40 seconds, and their fans were just like, yippee! Don't care! Go Avs! Hooray! You're going to do it anyway, and even if you don't, we're going to have a good time. I spent a mortgage payment to be here, and you're fucking it up, and I couldn't be happier. Hooray!
How much of that cheering did you hear?
None, but I saw it after. All right.
We were there. It was a great game.
I saw it after.
Adam, you're disrespecting the New York Rangers. Madison Square Garden was absolutely electric this entire playoff
I'm still
run.
getting it to the Avs, even
Adam, you're recency biasing the Avs fans.
Oh, all right. Listen, I'll take some votes. Leave the comments in the video below. One last stat. Before we got a couple of things to do. We're going to get to You Can Bet That, and then we're bringing on Allan Walsh for a couple of minutes here because we're going to talk a little bit about the episode we just put out. And then, of course, as you know, later on in the show, we got to talk about the Dadonov to the Ducks. The Montreal Canadiens trade. We've also got to talk about the Gary Bettman press conference, Tortorella, and Detroit has signed a giant. And I just want you to know about the Detroit Giant that's joining Grand Rapids next year. Ooh. This is a guy you have got to keep an eye on. If you care about the AHL and development and whatever, this guy is the guy to keep an eye on. I'm really excited about this. One last stat before we get to You Can Bet That. According to ESPN stats and research, only 4 teams in NHL history have trailed 0-2 in both the conference finals and the cup final. And neither of those teams won the cup. Meaning that Tampa's got to win. Mm-hmm. Just statistically speaking, Tampa must win this next game.
They're out of their minds enough to be like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go down 0-2 just to fuck that stat up.
Yeah, probably.
Avs in 5.
Avs in 5. There it is. All right, let's get to You Can Bet That with David Bastel. As always, please play responsibly when gaming. You've got responsible gaming tips in the description on this video. And, of course, anywhere you get your podcast. 19 plus, please play responsibly. Dave Bastel, You Can Bet That. Game 2 odds and a little bit of a different flavor later on in the segment. But first, Dave, let's talk about the Avs. Let's talk about the Lightning. And let's talk about Game 2 because I just read this stat out, but I want to read it again. Okay, according to ESPN stats and research, only 4 teams in NHL history have trailed 0-2 in both the conference finals and then the cup final, but none of them won the cup. So Game 2 is going to be huge for Tampa. What are the odds makers saying?
Yeah, the odds makers say this is a Colorado win at home. They're paying 169, 1.69. Tampa Bay some value, 2.20 guys. And I don't know about you guys, but I are you surprised if the series goes back to Florida tied at 1? Like, does Colorado really step on them and take a 2-game lead?
Jesse?
Colorado in 5.
Oh, look at this guy! Look at this guy.
No, I think they're the better team, and I'm going to back them.
Okay. One game. He was Colorado in 7, and now he's Colorado in 5.
And Dave, at the beginning of the episode, he was Colorado in 6, and now he's Colorado in 5.
We'll see when we get to the end. Colorado in 3.
Oh my god!
Do you trust Jesse? Serious question. Do you really trust Darcy Kemper?
I think the team is more than Darcy Kemper. I think like people are hammering on the goaltending. They have Vasilevsky, but the team's more than goaltending. I think we've seen that enough in the playoffs that Colorado's such a dynamic defensive team, and then their offense is spectacular when it's cooking, that they overcome whatever weakness people think they have in goal. And it's not that Darcy Kemper is a bad goalie. It's just we haven't seen him at this level, and he's gotten them there.
I think Dave asked you a yes or no question. That was a lot of words.
That's a lot of words.
Colorado in 2.
The other thing is, and Jesse, Jesse would cover this in the worst named podcast in history, the Jesse Blake Sports Report. Alec Manoah of the Toronto Blue Jays having an unbelievable start to the year, and we're deep enough into the season now, 2 months, where it's like you start to go, okay, we got some early favorites for the Cy Young. What are the odds looking like? And you've got some of his numbers. There's how crazy this is.
They are. They really are. We haven't seen, it's not like we haven't seen this ever, but this is better than Roy Halladay type starts, like to fire up a season. We're a couple weeks away from July, and Alec Manoah right now 8-1, a 1.67 ERA. He's ranked number 3 at Sports Interaction for the odds as far as Cy Young balloting. You can get him right now at 427 times your money. I'm just saying there's a lot of value for a team that's likely going to be a playoff team, and he plays the Yankees tomorrow. Maybe this is a measurement for him tomorrow. Faces the Yankees tomorrow, Saturday. If he does as well as he's done all season, watch those numbers sink. So if you like it, get it now.
There you go. There you go. It's like CJ. He always makes a pick before the season starts on Stanley Cup, and I think he picked Vegas one year, and they got all the way to the conference finals. So he was, it's one of those, that's where you get your best odds, right? Dave Bassel, thank you so much. sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. You can follow him on Twitter at David Bassel and SIA Sports. We got to talk about Muskoka Brewery's Tread Lightly. You make that noise. Why do you make that noise?
Because it's delicious.
It's delicious. It is. Tread Lightly. If you're a craft beer enthusiast, it's a light choice. 110 calories per 355 milliliter can. No sacrifice on flavor. Like all of Muskoka Brewery's beer, Tread Lightly is proudly crafted in Muskoka with all natural ingredients. Light beer, full flavor. That's what you want, right?
What's the percentage?
The percentage.
Oh, that's my percentage.
Why is that your percentage?
That's the beer I love when it's in that 4% range.
Okay.
You see how Adam looked down to read, and I was like, based on experience, 4.
Find Muskoka Brewery's Tread Lightly lager at your local LCBO or beer store, and you get $1 off of a 6-pack of Tall Boys now through June 19th. And they say it pairs very well with a fresh salsa or guacamole and chips. Anything from the grill.
It does. It also pairs well with just wanting a beer.
Place your Stanley Cup bets with Sports Interaction.
Is that how they told you?
That's that. They said shake the interaction around a little bit. Obviously, before the game starts, live in play, which I have seen Jesse do. And you can, obviously look at how your favorite players can perform. They have a ton of head-to-heads. We talked a little bit about it in the episode. Head-to-head matchups are very, very interesting and super even. Doing it right since 1997. Canada's sportsbook is Sports Interaction with the most competitive odds. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all that sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 plus. Please play responsibly.
I'm waiting on my Barry Trotz bet to pay out. I got the Jets.
Did you actually do it?
I got the Jets.
Oh,
I hope it pays out, baby.
Dave Bassel's like somewhere he's listening to this going, yeah.
See, I want it for Dave, but I also don't want it for Jesse.
Hey.
Now listen, we don't bounce back the way that we used to when we were drinking.
No.
It's not the same. Z-Biotics is a pre-alcohol probiotic, the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. And here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted to a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that is to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It is designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it the most. So here's what you need to do. Try Z-Biotics, and you can do this yourself. Go to zbiotics.com, and the promo code is SDP. Get 15% off your first order. And you got to use that promo code SDP at checkout. So it's Z-Biotics. It's backed by 100% money back guarantee. And if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Again, it's zbiotics.com/SDP. Use the promo code SDP for 15% off at checkout. Bringing on noted Jan Ruda, Stanley Cup champion and Stanley Cup player agent, Allan Walsh! Yay!
Oh my God, I'm back again. What's better with you guys?
Well, it's been too long. We figured.
Yeah, we brought Allan on to talk about Martin Firk.
Yeah. What's Martin Firk good at, guys?
Hockey, maybe?
Yeah. And bombs.
How hard is Martin Firk's shot?
He has the hardest recorded shot in the history of hockey. Wow. 109.2 miles an hour.
That is ridiculous.
A world record.
Ridiculous.
Oh, man.
Noted Allan Walsh client, Martin Firk.
It's actually in the Guinness Book of World Records as the hardest shot ever recorded.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Have you ever asked him how he developed that? Like, how does that even happen?
You know what? I have, because it's so extraordinary. And he looked at me and he said, I've just always had a really hard shot. I was like, yeah, but
so he doesn't even know.
But give me the secret sauce here. Like, how did this? I just always had a hard shot.
That's so hockey player. Like, that's every hockey player. They don't know how they do it.
Oh my God. Amazing. Amazing.
I'm just glad that I've been on now for at least 30 seconds and Steve's not doing the sword thing anymore.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I saw the Fleury jersey behind you.
Yeah.
I think we're finally past that.
Yeah.
Maybe. Suppose we'll see.
We won't bring up the new coach in Vegas, Allan. But we do want to talk about a couple things. First off, obviously you saw game one, and I just want to know what your takeaways were. Obviously, Jan Ruda's on the ice, but you watch all these games. What was your takeaway from game one of the Stanley Cup Finals?
I thought Tampa did not bring their A game. I think they have a history of starting slow in a series. I don't think Vasilevsky had his best game. And I think that when you go into the Stanley Cup Finals and you're starting on the road, if you can come out of the first two games on the road with one win heading home, you're in pretty good shape. Mm-hmm. And that's why tonight's game, I think, is going to be a critical game. I mean, every game's important, but this game is going to be, are we going back home down 2-0? And then all Colorado has to do is split one out of two in Tampa and come home, or is it going to be 1-1 going home? And, that gives Tampa a little bit of an edge.
Right. And so we were having a bit of a debate a few minutes ago about who's got the best barn in the NHL. Like, we saw the Preds fans at their best in the Stanley Cup Finals in 2016. They were unbelievable. So they won like best fan group that year. Jesse thinks Madison Square Garden. I'm giving it
Vegas.
to you're giving it to Vegas, but like during the playoffs.
Okay.
Where's like the loudest group of fans? Is it Madison Square Garden or is it the Colorado Avalanche fans?
And those are my only two choices.
Well, you can pick another one.
No, you got all 32 to pick from.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Adam was limiting it just to those two.
Well, those were the two we were talking about, and Vegas, I guess.
Nah.
Okay, I felt like I'm taking a skill testing question here. Let's see, Colorado or New York. For me, going by memory, the loudest I ever remember an arena being is Vegas in their inaugural year in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Look at them.
Yeah.
All right.
I literally after I was at every one of the home games in Vegas that year, and literally after every home game, my ears were ringing like I'd been at a concert.
Wow.
And you've been to like 500 concerts. How can you hear? How can you hear anything?
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you say something, Steve? I couldn't hear you.
I said, who's the best player on the Ontario Reign? In your opinion, Allan,
we're bringing you on for obviously because we love having you, but we there's a really special episode of Agent Provocateur that we wanted to talk about a little bit because most of it's about hockey. Most of the time we're talking about hockey. Occasionally it goes completely in a different direction, and this one's special, particularly to you.
And in all seriousness, when Adam and I when we started talking together, from our very first conversation last July, and started in my own mind processing the idea of doing a podcast. I didn't want to just do it to do it. I wanted to have some theme or purpose behind it. And I started thinking, okay, I get to promote clients, and we've had a lot of clients on: Marc-Andre Fleury, Max Pacioretty, Jonathan Huberdeau, David Perron. That's been awesome. New young clients, Boko Imama. That's been great too. I want to be able to talk about things like collective bargaining, issues that I'm really passionate about. And we had a great episode, I think, on the MLB lockout while it was going on. That's been great. But a huge part of my life, although it was somewhat brief, given my old age right now, it was 5 years of my life right out of law school, where I was a gang homicide prosecutor in LA with the LA County DA's office. And I was very fortunate to meet a fellow DA who was regarded as a legendary LA prosecutor who tried some of the biggest cases in LA and US history as a prosecutor. He was the co-lead prosecutor of the O.J. Simpson case. He led the Michael Jackson child molestation investigation. He led the probation violation hearings regarding Suge Knight. I got it right, Adam.
You got it right.
Suge Knight.
Suge.
Including the night where there was a gang fight in the casino of the Las Vegas MGM Hotel, MGM Grand, that resulted in the death of Tupac that very night. And he was very involved in that whole investigation involving Las Vegas PD and LAPD. And during those years, this gentleman, Bill Hodgman, was one of my closest friends. He was my mentor. Everybody looked up to him in the office, judges, defense attorneys. He just has that kind of charisma and aura about him of brilliance, integrity. And I always wanted to tell his story a bit through my eyes as a young prosecutor coming into that office. And I ended up in a very short period of time. I was there for 5 years. I was in the hardcore gang division for 4 years. And in those 4 years, I tried 40 murder cases, which it's about 10 murder cases a year. It's an incredible clip.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was just constantly in trial, and Bill very much with his open door and kind nature. I mean, so many times I can't even count, would literally be on a break, on a recess in trial, and sprint up the stairs, bolt into his office, with, like I said on the podcast, with wild eyes. Bill, quick. I got 10 minutes. This is happening right now in my trial. What would you do? And Bill would say, okay, well, think like a lawyer. And I would approach it like this. And I'd be like, thanks. I'm 25, 26 years old. I sprint back down to court, get back in just as the judge is taking it, and boom, I take Bill's advice, and things, always worked out well. And I thought that it was, he's a fascinating person who encountered so much and captured so much of what LA was about back then in those years, as Adam brought up and right on point about the Rodney King riots and how that influenced the O.J. Simpson case, and it had great impact on it. And Bill talks about it in depth. If you recall back in those days, the entire world was watching that trial on a daily basis. And around the courthouse during the trial, there was an entire tent city that got erected around the courthouse that was nicknamed Camp OJ. And there was media there from all over the world in these huge tents, broadcasting, commentating, almost around the clock. And it was an incredible time to be down in the criminal courthouse as a DA, as a witness to history, and at the same time, you know, being able. I mean, you're sitting in the courtroom, and in walks, you know, legendary, famed criminal defense lawyer F. Lee Bailey. I mean, you know, Johnny Cochran, Robert Shapiro. It was an incredible time to be there and to witness it all. And Bill's a great storyteller, just a fabulous storyteller. So I think that we captured that, all of us together. And as many times what I envision in my mind never really comes to fruition. This is exactly how I imagined it would be. And there it was. So it was great. And I talked to Bill after we recorded, and he really enjoyed the trip down memory lane. He hasn't talked about OJ that often since the verdicts. There have been one documentary that is still on Netflix called OJ Made in America. And there's a 8 or 9 minute clip where Bill recounts his belief on how the murders occurred, which is just chilling. But other than that, he has not spoken about it really at all. Mm-hmm. So what we had in what was released yesterday was very much somewhat of an exclusive, because he had many book offers. He had almost everybody attached to that case wrote a book except Bill, and some of his insights have never been spoken about publicly. A couple of things he said on the podcast he's never talked about publicly. The sheriff deputies, after the verdict, talking with the jurors and coming back to Bill and saying, "You guys never had a chance." The jurors' minds were made up even before the trial started. This was really about Rodney King and evening the score. And that's fascinating in and of itself, mm-hmm. right? And if we had been on CNN and Bill had been saying that, it probably would be pretty big news. So it's something different for everybody. It's different for SDPN. It's different for Agent Provocateur. But that's really, we're always going to talk about the agent side of things, the player side of things, but also every once in a while come in and do something like this. And I hope everybody enjoys it.
Well, and I think the cool thing, I think, is that so many of the themes that Bill talks about in the episode are so many of the things that we still see today. The inequality of the justice system. You know, Allan, you talked about a guy who had ripped off a bunch of senior citizens in a Ponzi scheme. And Bill, that was considered the biggest financial crime of its day before, the big crash in 2008. But he actually went to jail. And, and seeing a rich white guy go to jail immediately, remanded to custody immediately. You've got that. You've got, the Rodney King thing is very interesting because a lot of people know about the riots, but they don't know that the 4 police officers went to trial afterwards and were let off. And it was all on TV. And so these are all fascinating themes, I think, that still in many ways affect us and in a lot of ways plague us today. And I think it's a fascinating sort of look at that. So it's going to be it's an interesting one. And I also, Allan's got a couple episodes before that of just straight up playoff stories, including bringing most of the Pittsburgh Penguins to a sandwich shop in Montreal, which you need to check out. And I think the picture might still be on the wall, Allan. I'm not sure.
It certainly is.
So thanks for making time for us today, Allan. We appreciate it. And obviously you can check out the whole Agent Provocateur episode is up. And it's funny, you always know you did a good job with this show when people go, wow, I wasn't expecting that. I guess I'll have to check out the rest of them. And one quick thing too. One of the guests we had was Max Weinberg of the E Street Band. Steve has a connection with Max.
Yes, his son Jay, who is the drummer for Slipknot, reached out to me on Instagram, and he invited me and my dad to his show because he knows my dad's into metal. And I went. One of the best shows I've ever seen in my entire life. It was unreal. And then I met him afterward, and he was wearing a Toronto Marlies jersey, as one does. He came out onto the stage after the show with a Jack Campbell jersey as well, and everyone's just like, yeah! I can only imagine the ovation he would have gotten if he came out with an Allan Walsh client jersey. I can only imagine.
It would have brought down the house.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you need a leaf, man. You need a leaf.
Yeah. Well, there's always this summer, Alan. I hear people are looking for a goalie. Anyway, Alan, thanks so much for your time as always. And Agent Provocateur, it's a brand new episode out right now.
Great to be with you guys.
Okay, so Dadonov traded, but not to the Ducks, although the Ducks social team deserves a big shout out because they wrote back when Vegas announced the trade, they just wrote, "You sure?
Are you sure?"
Yeah.
Perfect.
I want to, before we get into why this makes sense for both sides, if that's not abundantly obvious, I just want to read out what Shea Weber just posted a few minutes ago on the Montreal Canadiens website. Growing up playing hockey in Canada, it's every kid's dream to play in the NHL. I consider myself extremely fortunate to not only have done that, but have had the chance to go to play for a Canadian team and a member of the original six. Never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined playing, let alone being named captain of the Montreal Canadiens. Pulling on that legendary jersey every night was one of my greatest honors, and it's something I appreciate every chance I got. I want to thank my teammates, coaches, trainers, management, entire organization, Jeff Molson and the Molson family, Montreal media, and most of all the fans for embracing me and my family, for making the city feel like a second home. Montreal will always be in my heart. Merci pour tout. Shea Weber.
And the trade was 1-for-1, Shea Weber for Dadonov, right?
Yes, it was.
It was 1-for-1. Yeah, he's a 1-for-1 kind of guy. Now, this is really obviously, but I don't know it's as obvious to everybody still. It's about Shea Weber's contract and health. And immediately afterwards, Kent Hughes got on Zoom and started doing his interviews. And he said, listen, I wouldn't have made the deal if Shea was ever going to play again. But he said his injuries are pretty serious. And I think what gets lost in that context in looking at a comment like that is I don't think Kent Hughes would have ever been able to make a Shea Weber trade if there was any chance Shea Weber was going to play again. There's no way. He's got one of those old backdiving deals. Remember we were talking about those?
Oh, his contract is monstrous.
I wonder how many years.
You want me to read it off?
Yeah.
So we got Shea Weber signed this contract on July 24th, 2012. Mr. David Poyle signed it. It is
Mr. David Poyle matched it.
It was an off. So
right.
The interesting thing about this contract, I think we touched on it last episode, was that it's an offer sheet matching by the Philadelphia Flyers because they were trying to steal Shea Weber, and they were like, Nashville doesn't have the money. They can't afford this. And David Poyle's like, fuck you. I'm going to do this. So he matched the contract. It's 14 years, $110 million, 7.857143 against the cap every single year for those 14 years. The money paid out for the first 4 years is $13 million. The next 2 years, $8 million. This is the signing bonus that he gets on July 1st. So the first 4 years, he gets
these are just the signing bonus.
Just the signing bonuses. And then he was making league min throughout the year.
And then, his base salary throughout the year was $1 million through most of it, then jumps to 4, then jumps to 6, and right now it's at 3. But the signing bonus after 5 years is $0. He no longer gets the signing bonus for the back half of the 8 years of the 14 years. And then his total salary right now is $1 million base, and then that's it. So for the last 3 years of this deal, or last 4 years, he's gonna make $3 million this year, and then the last 3 years he makes $1 million.
Wow.
So they got rid of this in 2013. In retrospect, how didn't they see this as a potential problem when they originally?
Sorry, the Shea Weber deal was in 2013. I think it was 15.
2012. this deal was signed.
No. You mean the trade to Montreal, right?
Oh, my bad. No. So what I'm talking about is in 2013, after the lockout.
Oh, they got rid of this type of deal.
Yeah,
Sorry.
they got rid of this type of deal.
Apologies.
But when they came up with the salary cap in 2005, how didn't they see this as a potential problem? That Shea Weber has been a double-digit salary player for half of this deal or whatever, close to it, with a $7.8 million cap hit. This contract is a crock of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Although if you're him, I sign that immediately.
Right.
Of course.
If somebody puts that in front of me, I don't care what
They
team it is.
never thought
Signing.
about, hey, you can structure the actual payout of the money differently. They said, like, okay, here you sign this thing against the cap. It's got to be even against the cap all the years. But they never thought, like, hey, the GMs are going to get creative with the bonuses and the payouts. I get how you don't think about that, but the GMs are very smart.
You have to understand too
Come up
how
with that in an afternoon.
how these deals come together is that they're under an immense amount of stress to get these labor relation deals done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you don't have time once you're closing in on a deal to think about, well, okay, let's galaxy brain the next 5 years of every loophole they're going to find. Let's bring Lou Lamoriello and Brandon Pridham in, and
it's not a loophole. How the fuck dare you?
we'll get to that.
I'm gonna beat your ass.
That's a Gary Bettman thing. We'll talk about
On
that.
behalf of Gary Bettman, I'm gonna beat your ass.
During tough negotiations when you're doing the CBA, they're not thinking about Brandon Pridham,
Right.
Who's sitting there with his calculator because that's how he does this.
Sitting there
according
with
to
his
the internet.
calculator, coming up with the CBA.
You're right, coming
Yes.
up with the CBA and also coming up with the ways to get creative with the money. You know, they're not thinking about. They're just trying to get a deal done so that they can get hockey back on the ice.
Would I use the word circumvent? I sure wouldn't. But you might have with Shea Weber, and that's how the NHL sort of saw those contracts. Now, the Montreal Canadiens obviously did not want to play with that much dead cap on their team going into next season. And it's understandable why, because, the Canadian teams, frankly, were hit much harder by the pandemic. We didn't get fans back in seats. And ratings actually fell off a little bit too, right? Now those numbers are somewhat stable because Sportsnet pays an amount each year as a part of their contract to the NHL. But when you have, let's say you've got advertisers in the stadium and you promise X amount of people are going to see this ad, and all of a sudden people aren't in the stadium and you might catch a glance of it on TV, the prices change. And for a city like Montreal, that's going to matter, right? So you don't want to have $20 million in dead cap space. I get it. And Dadonov makes a lot of sense for them because Montreal really couldn't score until Marty St. Louis showed up last year. And even then, they weren't that great at it. And he's good for 20 goals.
Oh, yeah. He had, I saw a stat today, he had 16 points in 16 games after the failed trade. He's a point-a-game player.
This might be a great trade for them. This might be a fit. He's got 1 year left at $5 million. There's no downside in Montreal.
You're trading somebody who's never going to play again for a player. Perfect trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And UFA.
Perfectly normal and common in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
A very good league with
So
no loopholes
fascinating.
whatsoever.
I would love to see in the next CBA that if you cannot play the game of hockey at the National Hockey League, you no longer have to be against the cap. You no longer can be traded. You no longer count. You're done.
People are going to abuse that worse than they're abusing it now.
I have a question.
If you're retired, everything should be gone.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
You still get your money,
yeah.
but the team doesn't get punished.
You still have to pay out the money. You still have to pay out the contract, but the guy's gone.
and you know what's
can't
good
be
about
traded.
that? You can't have any bullshit trades like the Ben Bishop one to meet the salary floor.
Yep.
You have to, please make billionaires spend their money.
Shout out to Kevin Weeks for calling that trade what it was. Ben Bishop was not traded to the Buffalo Sabres.
Ben Bishop's contract.
Ben Bishop's contract.
Yeah,
was traded to the
wasn't
Buffalo
Chris
Sabres.
Pronger a Coyote?
It wasn't Pavel Datsyuk.
That's
Yeah, like, it's just-
we should get rid of these contracts that are being swapped for guys that no longer play a game of hockey. Why are they still counted against the league?
I agree. Well, the thing is that technically they haven't retired, and that's what the lawyers would tell you.
Fart.
I know.
Fix that wording.
Fart.
What if you
What
called
for
it?
what? For the purpose of
What if you called
There's
it-
no incentive
So
for
we're not
that.
holding up these teams like Arizona.
What if you called it?
don't
What if there
care.
was a different distinction? You called it something like permanent injury status,
Yeah.
which is you're not going to retire. You're going to get the rest of your contract, but you're never coming back.
Yeah, piss. Permanent injury status.
Oh my god!
So you gotta.
I like it.
Permanent injury
Don't
status,
leave him. Don't leave
sir.
him hanging. Don't leave him hanging.
Oh, I didn't see.
I'll make a.
I didn't see.
Robert and Jamie, that one's for you.
That's right. Oh, that was worse. It was worse.
Do you have Cap Friendly's tweets in front of you?
I want to die right now.
Oh, that's not even a top 5 most embarrassing thing to happen to me this week.
All right, let's pull Cap Friendly regarding Shea Weber.
Yes, I have them right in front of me.
Oh, well then get them in front of what?
Cap Friendly is beautiful.
What are they saying?
Adam, can you get that thing? I already have.
Yeah. you get it
Wait,
first.
No.
Just go
I
ahead.
thought you were going to say it. Fuck!
Adam, can you pass me my
What
laptop?
happened to the show?
Can you pass me my laptop that's in front of me?
All right, Steven. Take it.
Cap Friendly. Why'd Montreal make this trade? No club wants to use LTIR, which is an interesting distinction. We all think teams want to. They want to have this ability to spend over the cap. A lot of teams don't. Why did Montreal make this trade? No club wants to use LTIR. It's restrictive to roster construction, no pro rating, so recalls cost more cap space, and makes an overage penalty significantly more likely. This trade enables the possibility of the Habs operating without LTI this season. So, for example, they're about to pick first overall. The first overall is going to have bonuses. If they hit their bonuses, their contract is going to go from something like $950,000 to potentially as high as close to $4 million.
Wow.
Right? That's what happened with Matthews. Why did Vegas make this trade? For LTI teams, trading a healthy player for an LTIR contract is money in / money out, where the team effectively creates cap space equal to the amount of the healthy player. Vegas made $5 million in cap space. Past example, the Tampa and Chicago Tyler Johnson for Brent Seabrook trade.
Now they have to do this for a lot of years. Like that Shea Weber contract doesn't end anytime soon.
Well, I don't think Vegas
and the cap hit, no matter what they're paying him, that cap hit remains the same.
Vegas plans on doing this for a number of years.
I guess
we're
they're
going
gonna
to
have
be
to.
up against the cap, so we don't have to worry about it. We're probably not going to have any top 5 picks that are going to have bonus laden deals.
And if we did, we'd trade him anyway.
Yep. I mean, they kept players on LTIR for longer than they needed to this season, probably, so that they could work with the roster they have. So I'm missing how this isn't a loophole.
So that brings us to the Gary Bettman press conference, and you're talking, I think, specifically about was that not a Mike Stevens?
Duncan Keith that we're talking about now.
Duncan Keith. Well,
loophole.
So the Mike Stevens question, Mikey Stevens 81. You should follow him. He seems to be. He asked Gary that question. Gary was super pissed at him. It seemed. Then Mikey went and watched a baseball game at Coors Field.
Dude, I got to give him a shout out. He's a young guy, like mid-20s. He's at his first Stanley Cup Final. And he asked Gary Bettman the question that made him the most uncomfortable.
What was the? I didn't see any of this. What was the question?
Ask the question.
Well, he's basically talking about Tampa is in their 3rd straight final, and they've been using loopholes basically this whole time. Like, what does it say about the league? Now, that's me paraphrasing. I don't remember the exact wording of the question. Now, when I retweeted it and said this was awesome, Tampa fans got defensive. I want to be clear. The Tampa Bay Lightning have done nothing wrong. Nothing wrong.
And that's exactly what Gary Bettman said.
Vegas has done nothing. Yeah, but he said it with a bit more full of shit. Tampa's done nothing wrong. Vegas has done nothing wrong. The Habs have spent over the cap. The Islanders have spent over the cap. The Leafs have spent over the cap. Lots of teams have spent over the cap using this. Remember Nathan Horton? What number did he wear for the Leafs?
Right.
It was a Leaf for a long time, or at least he was on the books for a long time. It's not that they've done anything wrong. They've followed the rules. The problem, and I thought I was clear in this, the problem is not Tampa or Vegas violating the rules. The problem is the rules being hunk of shit rules. It allows the rich teams to continue doing this. It allows the broke teams to continue being broke ass. Like, Arizona has had the most ghosts play for them in NHL history. I think we're all surprised they didn't make this trade.
Can I read what
Somehow.
Bettman? I found
Yes,
your tweet.
please.
So,
Taylor Haas quoted his answer.
all right. So Bettman says, Bettman on Tampa's use of LTIR. I don't think they've been using loopholes. They've been using the agreement as it's been drafted. They're not using loopholes. They're using effective cap management. Everyone's operating under the same agreement. And then you said on your Twitter, a masterclass in using the truth dishonestly.
Yeah, which I don't take back at all. That's yes, they didn't violate any rules, Gary. Thank you, Mr. Lawyer Man. They didn't violate any rules. Here, Jesse, read my other tweet since you got it.
I can read it. So you were responding to somebody who was critical of you saying that Tampa's using a loophole. You said, nothing Tampa does with the cap is wrong. They're using the cap under the rules. But, you wrote in caps, are the rules silly? That depends. The cap is designed to keep salaries down and keep teams spending similar money. But the teams that can afford it routinely spend well over. So does it work?
So Vegas is going to be spending over, and Tampa is currently spending over, which was the whole point of the thing. Tampa. So this all everything I typed pertains to Tampa, because the question was about Tampa. 24 hours later, after Gary Bettman says there's no loopholes, a player who's never going to play again gets traded.
All right.
For cap relief.
I think he got hung up. I think too many people are getting hung up on the word loophole. And that it's not a loophole and that you can do it.
Sorry.
But it's like, I think your tweet's very accurate in the words you use, where it's using the truth dishonestly. That's very good words to describe the situation, because it's not a loophole. Like Gary's so lawyer that he's very correct, but you're correct in that he's saying the right thing, but dishonestly.
Yeah, he's using the truth to lie.
Yeah.
Loophole. An ambiguity,
Webster.
an ambiguity or inadequacy in the law or a set of rules, meaning that if the rules are the rules and you are exploiting them, but not in the spirit of what this was supposed to be, which is what's happening. Toronto did it. I'm fine with it, but that's what's happening. That is what a loophole is. So Gary said they're not using any loopholes. In fact, Gary's incorrect. That is a loophole. Yes, that's how the rules are, but clearly that's not how they were written, and it's not the spirit.
Sorry, what Mike should have said is the collective bargaining agreement a hunk of shit?
Well, no. I don't know if I don't know if I go that far either. I'm not a fan of the salary cap either, the way it's constructed. I think it makes things boring. And the big trade we're talking about is Shea Weber who'll never play again.
And
for Dadonov.
The captain of the team was traded.
The GM openly said, if he was ever going to play again, I'm never trading him. But he's not playing again, so I was like, got to get rid of this guy.
That is a retired person. He shouldn't be allowed to be transacted within this league.
I agree with that. However, Mike was correct in using loophole. That is a loophole within a set of systems. Now, I wouldn't have known that before I looked it up, but I figured I'd look up the word. And to be honest with you, like, see, here's the thing with Gary, and Steve, I think you touched on a point here. Gary is never gonna give an inch, and the way you do that is Gary. If one of Gary's policies set a building on fire, he'd tell you that there was something wrong with the construction of the building. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're never gonna get Gary to actually admit, you know what, we got to work on that for next time, ever, unless it's owners more money. Right? Now, let's talk about another thing. Let's talk about another loophole that's being exposed here, because here's what's happening. They announced that the revenues are $5.2 billion at the Gary Bettman press conference, and Sarah Sivian and a few other people, Allan Walsh, we're all saying, okay, so your revenues are back to normal, you're fine, and everybody's like, you don't understand how revenue works. They have to pay the escrow back. Yeah, we fucking get it. They have to pay the escrow back over the next 3 years, but here's the problem. Okay, the owners don't want or need to make money off these franchises. Where they make their money is equity. Equity is where you make your money in real estate. It's where you make your money in business. It's not your after-tax profits, guys. They don't give a shit about that. What they care about is, I bought this 10 years ago. It's now worth calculus, 150 times what it was worth.
The world is purely at the mercy of fantasy dollars.
It's equity. It's perceived value. So
guys,
here's the
we're
thing.
fucked.
So we're talking about revenues, and these are revenues that are split between the owners and players. The players take no equity out of this. They get nothing in terms of so the idea that the salary cap couldn't go up this year is total crap. It's just the way the rules are written. It's a nice little loophole for the NHL.
And the salary cap is going up by $1 million. What's it going up by for Vegas?
5.
It's funny. It's funny you should bring up the equity thing, because I was listening to Bill Simmons this morning after the Golden State Warriors won the NBA championship last night, and he was praising them as an organization because their owners, they allowed the GM Bob Myers to pump whatever he wants into the franchise in terms of signing players, and then their coaching staff makes a shit ton of money in comparison to all the other coaches. And they don't care about how much they spend year to year on the Golden State Warriors. They spend a ridiculous amount, more than probably any other team. The Lakers do the same thing, where they just spend all this money because they understand that if we win these championships, if we have players like Steph Curry and Draymond and Clay, and we build up Wiggins, and we have Kerr as our coach, and we have all these greats, if we're a winning franchise, the value of our franchise goes up. And he was making this point. He's like, just spend all the money each year because your $950 million investment is now worth $4 billion. Your $2 billion investment is now worth $6 billion in 15 years. So who cares what you spend year to year on your coaching staff?
Jesse, they spent all this money on their players and they won and blah, blah, blah. But think of how much better the Golden State Warriors would have done, at least financially, if they had acquired retired players who are never going to play basketball again.
So in hockey, when you see these teams that are purposely cutting budgets, and like when Carolina didn't want to pay Brindamore and his staff, you bought the team for $750 million. In 10 years, it's going to be worth $2 billion. Who cares what you make year to year if you're saving a couple $100,000? The equity thing, it's such a fascinating point about how these sports businesses should be run.
I also want to throw it out there. It's called, investing in your investment. It's crazy. What a wild thing. And paying people their market value. Whoa. That's crazy. I think beyond that, just for a second, you look at, the Ottawa Senators are going to get sold here, guys. Like, it's going to happen.
Probably.
The Ottawa Senators are 99% going to get sold here to somebody.
If the family doesn't want to keep it.
And the thing is, the family can keep it, but then you've got to do wealth dispersals. Who's gonna hold the Eugene Melnyk estate? Like, who's the heir that holds that?
It's going to take
Are they
forever.
going to have enough money? Because there's a couple of kids involved here, and that gets split and split and split again. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So there's chances are this team's going to have to be sold. The Ottawa Senators right now might be worth $350 million, let's say. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Might even be high.
Sure.
How much more money are the Ottawa Senators worth if the LeBreton Flats deal went through and the arena is probably ready to go this coming season? Because it probably would have been.
So much more,
right? And it's this kind of stuff. Where I sit back and we go back to using loopholes in the language where it's they can't ever say, you know what, we could have done better on that. And that's what frustrates Steve about Gary, I think. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Tying it all back together.
You would never admit that.
He would, do you know what I'm saying?
Listen, in Tampa fans, I'm fully with you. 2015, the Chicago Blackhawks held Patrick Kane out of the lineup. They held him out of the lineup. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, he's back. So they were able to, I believe it was Antoine Vermette they went out and got. And they were able to do that.
Yep.
They were able to afford it because they waited to bring Patrick Kane back into the lineup for game 1. After Tampa lost in the Stanley Cup Final to the Chicago Blackhawks and Patrick Kane, Tampa got up in front of all the GMs and said, does anyone have a problem with this? It feels like you should have a problem with this.
They did actually this actually happened.
This
is a true story, yeah.
This is a true
you
story.
should say that it's a true story.
Yeah. This is not a hypothetical.
I'm taking some creative liberties here, but this happened. Tampa got up in front of the entire NHL and said, does anyone have a problem with this? And the NHL said no, and I'm sure behind the scenes they went, wee. Oh yeah, you lost in the Cup Final, and you're upset about the rules now. No, the Chicago Blackhawks, who are on the owner's executive, did nothing wrong here. All they did was use the rules better than you. And Tampa said, all right, we're mugging you. We're mugging you for the next half decade plus. We are going to stomp your teams into the ground by using the same shit.
And God bless them, they did.
And God bless them.
I love it.
God bless them.
I did not know that story, by the way.
You didn't know that
I'd
story?
never heard that story. That's
You were just saying you knew it was true.
No, I said, is it a true story? I said, you should say that it's true. I didn't know that it was true.
Yeah.
No,
that-
I was like, is this a true story?
That happened at the whatever GM meetings were most recent after the awarding of that Stanley Cup. That's when that conversation
after the
happened.
2015 Stanley Cup. So it would have happened later in 2015 or early 2016.
Yeah, whatever that next GM meetings was, that's when Tampa raised their hand.
And Tampa said, hey, this is kind of full of shit. We should probably not do this anymore. And everyone went, get good, be better, cope. And they friggin' went.
Eiserman said, fuck you guys.
They said.
And Breezewell said, all right.
Now they're
I will continue to fuck you guys.
Yeah, they're in their. They've won a President's Trophy. They have won back-to-back cups. They're in the third straight final. I'd say they coped pretty well. But this rule fucking sucks.
I don't think it sucks. I think that's the rule. Play the game.
You really? You don't?
I don't think it sucks.
I think the salary cap for?
Right. Well,
the salary cap is to keep salaries down.
100%.
This flies completely in the face and against the spirit of what the salary cap is for.
I'll tell you why I like the rule.
It allows the teams with money to spend more money.
And I'll tell you why I like the rule.
Why?
I like this rule, not because I'm a fan of a very rich NHL franchise. That helps. That helps, I won't lie. But I'll tell you why I love this rule. I love this rule because it hits at the heart of the credibility of the current system, which I am completely against. The current system depresses player market value. It makes a mockery of the cap that currently exists.
A call-in mockery.
Yeah. Whose line is it in?
Wow.
It makes a mockery
Canadian
of
legend.
And so when conversations like this happen and people like you go, this doesn't make sense and it's not fair. I go, no kidding. Because I get explained to all the time whenever we talk about this on Twitter. That's why I've stopped talking about it. I'm so sick of you bringing this up.
I'm so sick of you saying you're sick of me bringing it up. No. Haven't you noticed that we haven't fucking stopped? Shut up!
But it's funny because I'll hear from people who are like you'll see, like last year, we talked about it, I don't know, whenever, and I saw a Montreal fan, and I follow this person, and they're like, can you stop talking about the cap? Like, no one gives a shit. You're from Toronto. We get it. You want to spend more money, blah, 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 blah. And then, and that's the same.
We're from Toronto.
And then the same person, not kidding, love you, but same person then said, oh yeah, of course the Lightning won. They had a $92 million payroll. So which is it? And so at the end of the day, I like the rules as they currently stand because they're ridiculous and they don't make sense. And because ultimately it's not a fair cap. And you try to make sports as fair as possible, but sports aren't fair. That's the whole point.
We're three Leaf fans on a prominent hockey podcast. I promise if we start coming vehemently against, we start coming out vehemently against, for the things that we hate.
We should be pro-owner at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
We should be pro-owner.
Go billionaires. Fuck yeah. I think, here, watch the public opinion turn at the drop of a hat. I think what the Lightning is doing is really good and smart. Now all of a sudden everyone hates it.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, what it is that this is an imperfect agreement. And in future Agent Provocateur episodes, Allan has told Jesse and I some stories because Jesse produces, so he hears all the behind the scenes stuff. Mm-hmm. We have heard some stories about how that lockout ended in 2004 and how that deal happened and what was left on the table by the owners and a major screw up that they had. But there was some really bad shit that happened. Mm-hmm. And there are books on it, but nobody reads them. And I have to tell you, It's sort of fascinating now looking at it because Gary's having to defend this thing that's objectively shitty. It's stupid. Doesn't make sense. Now
Well,
let's get.
You're never going to get Gary Bettman to criticize the thing that he fought tooth and nail for.
So you're saying it's not okay to mention to your friends that you used high quality Manscaped products this weekend?
Like, are you cutting them off to do it?
Well, no, I think you just bring it up
Yeah,
as a
you know, I
topic of
shave my balls.
No, you just
Like,
topic
that'd
of
be weird,
conversation,
right?
right? Is it like we should talk about Manscaped?
You know what?
We should talk about the effect that it has, which is, listen, tip to toe. You know what I'm talking about? Tip to toe.
Like
Manscaped's got you covered.
Why isn't it just more a part of culture?
I don't know. Should be. I mean, you know the promo code is Dangle. You know the shipping is is free, and you know that the discount on your first purchase is 20% off. You know that they've got body wash. You know that they got 2-in-1 shampoo, so you don't have to waste your time conditioning your hair after you shampoo it.
I'm always like, God, this is a waste of time.
Aluminum-free deodorant. They got body spray. They got lip balm, and it's not the shiny lip balm stuff.
It's actually quite nice.
Is it like a lemon? I haven't used the lip balm yet.
I have.
Well, there you go.
It's good.
All I'm saying is that you need to get your 20% off and your free shipping with the promo code DANGLE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code DANGLE, manscaped.com. It's time to get wet and clean with your new Manscaped shower routine. And I used it this weekend and it felt great.
That's great, man.
NAD Plus supplementation is an important part of your health routine as you age. Elysium products help target aging specifically at its source. Like, you know, if you become older, you must yell at the TV screen more, right? That has to happen.
What are you looking at me for?
Well,
They can hear you.
no reason at all. They can hear you.
The
When
TV pictures can hear you.
When you yell shoot from your living room,
I help.
you're helping them
Yes.
shoot.
See, they might actually hear me.
So NAD Plus actually doesn't help with that, but it does help with a bunch of different things. It's NAD Plus is actually found in every single cell of your body. It's responsible for creating energy and regulating hundreds of cell functions, but NAD Plus also declines as you age, leading to things like, I don't know, aging.
Don't scream aging at
and
me.
yelling at the TV screen like Steve does. So,
Why'd
hey,
you
listen,
scream it?
go to trybases.com. The promo code is STP. And so it's trybases.com/STP, promo code STP. And at checkout, you're going to save 10% off Basis, prepaid plans, and other Elysium Health supplements. That's trybases.com/STP. Use the promo code STP, save 10%. Thank you, Elysium. In a tiny apartment in Southern California, 2 college dropouts, I can relate to that, I'm one college dropout, teamed up to create a watch company that broke all the rules. Fair prices, unexpected colors, clean and original designs. Movement grew into one of the fastest growing watch brands out there, shipping to 160 countries across the globe. This stuff is high quality, right? These are great watches, unbeatable price point, and I gotta be honest with you, I like the second part, mostly, is that I'm
What's
cheap.
that?
I like to look good for cheap, okay? Just throwing that out
It's
there.
always the right time.
Trivia.
for that.
Name every country they ship to. All 160.
Oh, okay.
Canada, the United States, Mexico. Don't worry, this ad will be
Steve's
over in a
working
minute.
on that.
England.
If you want to elevate your style
Great
and
Britain,
look
sorry.
that doesn't break the bank, well, listen,
France.
Movement will give you 15% off.
Spain.
Free shipping, free returns. Go to movement.com/dangle.
Portugal.
That's mvmt.com/Austria. Dangle. The Arizona Coyotes ownership situation. And I want to make everybody in Arizona, I know, I get it. You're tired of us making fun of the Coyotes. Please know we have no interest in making fun of Coyotes fans. They are among the most devoted in the NHL. How could you not be? But this is Gary Bettman's quote. Obviously, there's some work to be done before we get a shovel in the ground, but from the reports I get, everyone is doing what they need to do as efficiently as possible. And then he talks about, and this kills me because I have a personal connection to this half. As for the small Arizona rink that will serve as the Coyotes' temporary home, Bettman was unfazed. This is from the Hockey News. It's not unprecedented, he said. 5,000 people, not unprecedented.
What?
Do you know that? It's not unprecedented. I can actually, because he's saying, he said, when the Flames moved from Atlanta to Calgary, they played in a very small venue for a couple of years. When the Tampa Bay Lightning came into the league, they played at the fairgrounds, and the San Jose Sharks played at Cow Palace while they were building their arena. You do what you have to do when you believe in a market. We remain excited and optimistic about the project. Now, I believe that hockey could work in Arizona if they could get their shit together. I'm not disputing that. What I am disputing is this proposition that he's made, because what do those three teams, San Jose, Calgary, and Tampa, have in common in those situations where they were playing in arenas that weren't optimal?
Tell me.
Brand new or just moved. And I'll tell you something. My grandfather was at the very first Calgary Flames game, and he received a certificate.
They moved there, by the way, in 1980.
Yes, and they moved to a place called the Stampede Corral, which, funnily enough, I saw Pitbull and Flo Rida there in 2012. The Stampede Corral I think it was just torn down. And what's interesting is it was 5,000 people, and the person who played the organ was right next to my grandfather's season seats. So he knew the organist, and my grandfather played the organ and used to play it at church. So they used to talk all the time, and he used to tell me about all that. My mom remembers going to games at the Stampede Corral.
And the thing about that team is that they were there for nearly 20 years and kept failing, and then they moved them to a 5,000-seat arena.
That is not... That's not exactly how it went.
No, were they being moved to a better market, and then they had to just do this for a temporary solution while they built their stadium?
Yes, and the Olympics came, and they got the arena.
That's
almost
crazy.
like it all happened.
Also, they weren't there for 20 years, and then this was their final form of 5,000-seat
Right.
arena.
Anyway, I just thought it was kind of... By the way, Calgary and Quebec tied 5-5 in their first NHL game.
Wow.
Just want to throw that out there. Tied 5-5.
You can definitely see why they got rid of those. I get it. I don't like the shootout, but I get it.
Okay, so Shyam Das, who is an arbitrator the NHL uses all the time.
Oh, are we moving on from the Coyotes?
Yeah, is that okay? I don't know. Is there anything more to say? I'm just talking about Bettman's press conference and some of the stuff he said.
Listen, the plans for the Tempe Arena look great.
Yeah.
I think when they get there, I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say it's going to happen. I think when they get there, it's going to be a smash success. I don't know why we're all pretending like them being in this broom closet for 4 years is a good thing, and smart business decisions got them there.
It could be a good thing. It could be a good thing.
It will end up being a good thing. It will be a good thing born from decades of stupid fucking bullshit.
I think it's important to point out what you started with was that new arena plans look awesome.
They look great.
It looks like everything is going to be a success, and the Arizona hockey market seems like it's going to be thriving once this is all done. It's just the way you got there could have been avoided. You just didn't have to go through all of this mess.
Could have done this 10 years ago.
You really should have had some foresight here.
On our first podcast of this show, we talked about the Arizona Coyotes and their arena situation in 2013. That was our first fucking show. We were talking about it. And here we are. We're all a lot older, and Steve and I have put on a little more weight. And we have children.
Hey. Yeah, you're right.
Wow.
We're
very skinny back.
They're going to play game one in that new arena, and it's going to be electric. And the Coyotes are going to play there for 20 years. And Gary Bettman's going to be, hey, Steve.
I told you so.
I was fucking right.
I did it.
And that's going to be his narrative, and it's not true.
He's going to be dancing around like the Canadians who went on strike in South Park.
Yeah,
we got all these coupons. Let's go.
But that's not true. If you lived through this, you could have avoided this. You should have had some foresight. I don't know.
Our inaugural season was great. All right, so the score is now 35-1. Stop.
Okay, now
stop.
Evander Kane's contract termination grievance is going to take a bit more time because Shyam Das, who does all the arbitration stuff, is booked through June. And this is a reality if you're going through anything in the legal system. The thing I always laugh at, though, is like, the NHL can't get a guy to arbitrate something that they've been looking at since late January.
How on earth is this not going to be solved by free agents?
For regular ass people like you and me, it's going to be 6 months to a year before we can see an arbitrator. For the NHL, use somebody other than Shyam, who's made some fucking weird decisions in the past too. Scott Wheeler, years ago, I remember him, and I apologize, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he was like, this guy has done this and this and this, and it's really freaking weird. But the NHL loves him. They use this guy all the time. Anyway. There have been cable provider problems, and I didn't know this, in Denver and parts of New York City, which has meant that local fans have not been able to watch the games.
What?
And I didn't. If you're a New York City fan or you're an Avs fan, tell us, because I did not know any of this
not
locally.
Being able to watch the Cup Final.
He said, Gary said, I think what you're going to see over time is a transformation to more streaming to avoid possibly dealing with satellite and cable carriage. I guess people are not carrying the games. They may not expect them to rate as high as the program that's there, and so they may just not carry it. And he said, and in fact, our new national deals have a bit more of that in terms of games being worked over to ESPN Plus. The problem with some of that stuff is that local blackouts apply. So you're pushed. You might be a subscriber, but you still might then have to stream it illegally. And we see that in Canada. And what's really interesting that he says that on the week of the deal that the MLS signed with Apple TV, which is it's like the one that the EPL used to have with DAZN, which is up this year. And essentially, you can watch every EPL game anytime you want, no blackouts, and you can watch a replay, and it's commercial free.
MLS just signed a deal to go to Apple Plus.
That's what I just said.
That's what he's talking about.
Literally what I just said.
Sorry, I was thinking about.
That's exactly what I said.
Something else.
That's the deal he's
Sorry.
talking about.
Yeah. Steve was thinking about something else. But I just think it's interesting, and I feel like again, if you're asking, and we've had a few people ask us, why do blackouts exist? There's actually no real reason for blackouts to exist in 2022. The problem is the way this stuff is sold is localized, so that matters. But you have the technology now to do what's called an ad substitution. So if I listen to, if you listen to the Virgin Radio Edmonton on the iHeartRadio app, but you're listening from Toronto, you will hear local Toronto commercials during Edmonton Virgin Radio's commercial breaks. And the reason for that is because we have the technology to say, oh, you're not listening from an area where a local ad will apply to you. So we're going to put it, we're going to give you a Toronto ad that will apply more to you. That technology exists.
Not every cable provider in America is on that technology.
And and nor are they in Canada.
Yeah.
And it's not that they can't, oftentimes they just don't want to. Yeah. So
costs
that's
a lot of money.
It costs money or whatever. Yeah. It's called investing.
Stop sending me tweets about blackouts and you can't watch. Dude,
that's a rights issue for you,
dude. It's a rights issue for watch a Leafs game with Steve Dangle. Sportsnet does not own
the rights in the States,
the digital NHL rights outside of Canada,
the border of Canada. Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah.
If ESPN wanted to pick it up, then they could do a joint partnership of watch a game. But
that's why
ESPN wants to do that.
That's why what MLS did is genius. You sell it to one person.
Here, explain what MLS did.
Yeah, I think that's the direction everything kind of should go, where you can go to one place on the entire world. You can go to one place. It's Apple. I believe, Steve, you brought it up. You can go to Apple.
I think it's here. Let me. I got it right here. It's Apple Plus.
And for, I don't know, what are they going to sell it at? $20 a month or whatever? Just everybody in the world, MLS can market, hey, it's on Apple. Yeah. That's it. Done. It's on Apple. Everybody in the globe can find it there. And that's the direction things need to go. And they're just ahead of the curve.
And the crazy thing about it is all the games are on Apple Plus. Sorry.
If somebody could bring that up, that would be great.
People will just... It's 2022. There's a variety of technology that exists, including... It's so easy. Mm-hmm. It's so easy to steal. And people will just steal it. Mm-hmm. They'll just take it. As Canadians, we have a unique experience with Netflix Canada. All we got to do is go bleep, 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 change a couple things, and all of a sudden we're not on Netflix Canada. We're on Netflix something else, and we're able to watch whatever we want.
Mm-hmm. When I was down in Tulum 2-3 years ago, it was before the pandemic, Netflix Mexico is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
They have
Netflix
Rick and
Mexico.
Morty on their Netflix.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. And they have a whole shit ton of shows that it's like a combination of the American one and the Canadian one. It's awesome.
Apparently Netflix in South America in general, I know Mexico's in North America. Thank you. But when you go further down, apparently it's amazing. It's all encompassing.
It's fantastic.
Just make it easy for people. Otherwise, they'll steal it. Generally speaking, people will pay for something that's easily accessible.
You know why? Because we feel better about paying for it than we do stealing it.
Yeah.
I don't want to steal shit.
Don't
put me in that position.
I don't want to steal it. I don't want anyone who's ever, watched an illegal stream of anything. Surely none of us, but I've heard that the ridiculous ads that pop up and friggin' steals your identity.
Well, and also
your dog.
If you're going to host NHL games on your app, please make sure the app works. And
This is Adam Wilde talking.
a World Cup in 2024 is still very much in progress, but the league is very much aligned with the NHL PA on the matter, said Bill Daly. Discussions with the IIHF have become a little more complicated because of the Euro leagues, but February is the priority for the NHL. And they say
For Evander Kane?
No, for
Oh, sorry.
World Cup.
My bad. Sorry, I thought you were talking about. Holy fuck!
You okay?
This coffee wore off.
Okay, all right.
World Cup.
We're gonna wrap it up. So World Cup 2024.
I thought you were talking about the arbitration for.
No.
We moved on quick from the arbitration. we should note that it's pretty crazy. If a team, Evander Kane is free to sign with the team.
I'm so fucking embarrassed.
Yeah, okay. So with Evander Kane, go ahead, Jesse.
He's free to sign with a team during free agency,
Right.
And the arbitrator may decide that his contract rights still apply to San Jose. So I assume they'd have to work out some sort of trade where San Jose would receive assets. So we haven't, I don't think a big enough deal is being made of how catastrophic this could be if the arbitrator rules in favor of Evander Kane, where that it was illegal to void his contract and that his contract is still valid with San Jose. Now, the arbitrator may rule that he just has to receive a lump sum of money in the contract.
I'm sure that's how he's
be the much easier thing to do.
But there are a million different options on a decision he can make, and he could say the contract is valid. The contract invalid. Where we just wash our hands. Blah blah. Blah. What are the implications going back about him playing in the playoffs?
Oh, I know.
He played for Edmonton, and an arbitrator could rule. We don't know how possible it is, but
the leading goal scorer.
He could rule that all that time, his time in the playoffs was invalid. That, according to the arbitrator, he should have been a San Jose Shark. That is crazy.
LA should file a grievance. The Flames should file a grievance. The Avalanche, for the fun of it, should file a grievance. All of them should file a grievance. Anyway, how many games did Vegas play against Edmonton with Evander Kane in the lineup, and they missed the playoffs? They should file a grievance. Every team that had their path altered by the Edmonton Oilers should be able to file a grievance because of Evander Kane.
That's why it won't go that way.
And there's another possibility is that they could reach a settlement outside of court, but the word is that they haven't been talking and that both sides think they're right. So there's probably going to be no negotiations there. But I think, I don't know, I'd probably side with the San Jose Sharks here, where if I'm just guessing there's a complete guess on how I think it's going to go, either Evander wins and he gets a lump sum of money, or the Sharks were right to void the contract. I don't think they'd void it if they didn't think they'd win this case.
And it'll all be streamed on
Evander
Apple TV Plus, guys.
So that's the Evander Kane thing that you weren't paying attention to.
Did we ever touch on Duncan Keith?
We didn't. Do you want to?
Well, just
This is all.
It is. Do you need to go?
I'm
Do we need to do Duncan Keith or do?
Well, no, just really briefly because I mentioned the Oilers there.
Yeah.
So Duncan Keith retiring should, under the rules of the CBA, since Gary Bettman is such a stickler for that, should result in a cap recapture penalty for the Chicago Blackhawks, and it should result in a cap credit to the Edmonton Oilers. So not only does his cap hit get wiped, but it should result in a cap credit of $3 million.
Oh.
Bill Daly said, nah, Edmonton doesn't get a cap credit.
What? They can't do that.
Yeah, they can. They're going to.
It's not the spirit of the rule or something.
Oh.
What? So the spirit of the rule does matter.
Fuck you, Bill Daly.
So it does matter. Thanks, Bill. Lovely every time you speak. Dude is a shit dispenser.
Can we do the World Cup?
Good Lord.
World Cup 2024, February. Everybody wants February, or at least the NHL wants February. And Bettman said, if we are going to continue to do this, we got to do it in February. But the NHL and the NHLPA seem to be aligned on that. Torts to Philly, 4-year deal, official. Not much to say there except that it'll be hilarious. Torts, Philly, and I bet they win the Stanley Cup fucking next year because that's the way the NHL works.
We talked about it all week.
Go to the Olympics if you're going to host your World Cup in February. People.
No,
just can't
go to the Olympics in the middle of the season.
Then why are you hosting your tournament in the middle of the season?
Because we need to put it in the middle of the season.
Then go to the Olympics!
No, we can't. It's in the middle of the season.
Imagine a moment's peace Imagine a moment, please.
Okay, let me give you.
How does that make sense?
Because it's in the middle of the season, Jesse.
So
and
are the Olympics.
We can do it in the middle of the season. We cannot and can. Let me give you with a moment of chill relaxation. I want you to think about what it looked like Zdeno Chara at his peak. What did Zdeno Chara look like at his peak? When he skated, when he moved, what did it look like?
A baby giraffe with superpowers.
Right.
He was lanky and could beat the shit out of you. He had an unbelievable bomb of a shot. He wouldn't hit you very hard because you would simply give the puck up and avoid him. He was a monster.
And what was he on, like a finesse level though?
He had a shot. He always had a wrist shot and a slap shot.
Side to side movement, puck carrying.
He had a very wide wingspan, so he didn't need to have a lot of finesse.
And he could probably bull you over if you really wanted to get in his way.
And also, nothing was ever called on him ever.
That's also true. Now, I want you to imagine somebody Zdeno Chara's height with finesse as a forward. I want to introduce you to 6'8" forward, Detroit Red Wings prospect Elmer Soderblom, who is known for obviously his height, right? Because on skates
forward?
He's closer to 6'10". He had 12 goals in 33 games for Frölunda this year, and if you go and you watch his highlights, he's the kind of guy that in front of the net can put the puck between his legs and shoot backwards.
Dude, this was...
Look at this. I want to show you this.
Okay.
I don't know if we're not allowed probably to run this clip.
No.
But there is a clip on Twitter right now
It's TSN,
of him
yeah.
playing.
Can't
It's a
use
TSN clip. And look at this. That is him in front of the net.
Oh, ew. Oh, stop it. Stop it immediately. So he collects the puck, puts it through his legs while people are trying to get it off him. And that's a creative player. That's a creative player.
So
Chara's the largest professional hockey player ever. This might be the tallest forward.
Here's what Craig Button had to say in his scouting report. He's not going to physically overpower you.
Pardon?
6'8", but he doesn't get pushed away, obviously, and his reach is significant. He's so smart around the net. Teams defend fierce in that area, and he understands how to be able to reach and use his hands. And he's not like a reacher as in like he's going to take a bunch of penalties. He's like a reacher as in he'll scoop the puck. He said there's legitimate skill there. And what's fascinating, I think, about this whole thing is people forget this with Chara. I remember a piece that Hockey Night in Canada did back in the day when they did pieces on players. And they talked about Zdeno Chara's stick size. So obviously, the old adage in hockey, it should come up to your nose on your skates, right? That's a whereabout. Now, NHL players are super picky about their stick, but there is actually a size limit for how big a stick can be in the NHL, how long it can be. And for Zdeno Chara's height, his stick was too short, but there was nothing he could do about it. So Zdeno Chara had to play with a stick that is technically, based on the size of his body, too small for him for his entire career.
And he won Norrises and Cups with it.
And so we're Soderblom.
Oh,
he's going to be playing in Grand Rapids this year. If you have an AHL city near you, I highly, highly recommend when the Grand Rapids Griffins come through town, go and watch this guy, because this is going to be, that's a whole wild different experience. And I have no idea what we're in for. I don't know how he's going to play in the North American game. Remember, he's big, a lot more room on those European ice surfaces. But if he figures it out in tight, that's going to be a scary NHL player.
12 goals is good. That's SHL. There's not a ton of goal scoring. And also, Marlies fans, get ready for the 15 games that Grand Rapids has against the Marlies. It's them and Laval and Belleville, and then the other ones.
I hear he's modeling his game after Frederick Gauthier.
Freddie the Goat, baby.
He's 6'5"?
6'5", I think tied. I'm trying to think of any Leaf forward who is taller than Freddie Gauthier.
Engvall's like 6'4".
Engvall's 6'5".
6'5", there you go.
6'5". Gauthier was 6'5". Sundin was 6'5". Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he was a good boy.
Yeah. Do you
remember sitting next to him?
Did you notice how you were looking eye to eye?
Yeah, we were about the same height. I'm probably looking down a little. I also play with a smaller stick because I don't have I have never invested in a tall stick for myself.
You should.
So, I don't play enough hockey.
Yeah, but maybe it's because you have too short of a stick.
There you go.
There you go. You said he was 6'8"?
6'8".
Oh, wow. What's Bishop's like 6'7", isn't he? Ben Bishop?
Yeah.
Vassie's-
He's taller than we think.
Vassie's like
4, 5.
Oh, I thought he was bigger than that.
I think he's 6'5", something like that.
6'5".
That's what I thought.
He's large.
But
Bishop's
large,
gotta be
big.
Oh, I guess Bishop doesn't count.
Soderblom's family. Let's talk about his family quickly. This is, by the way, via DetroitHockeyNow.com. His brother Arvid is a goalie who's played a couple of games for the Blackhawks when they had COVID-19.
Oh.
When they were overrun with COVID. So Arvid Soderblom has already played in the NHL. He made 37 saves in a loss against Calgary. So he did pretty well against a really good team.
Oh, yeah.
His younger sister, Vera Soderblom, is a prominent basketball player.
Hey.
And his dad, Martin, had a lengthy career playing hockey in Sweden's minor leagues. Sweden also has its own version of Survivor. It's called Expedition Robinson, and his mother, Suzanne, was a participant in 1998.
What?
What a random fact.
DetroitHockeyNow.com.
Wow.
Apple TV Plus. I got an Apple TV Plus.
Apple TV Plus, everybody.
Isn't that neat? This guy, man, I'm gonna have to get a Griffins jersey now. Like
this was always gonna. First of all, no, you don't. Second of all, this was always gonna happen, and I feel like we called it years ago, where there was an overcorrection, maybe, where all right, we've had enough of the big and slow guys. We're gonna go to the
tiny skill,
and what happened was the big guys adapted. That all right, we don't have to be battering rams anymore. We got to play with finesse and like
big and finesse. Oh my god!
Yeah, like are you? Big guys went. What if we were fast? And then they became fast and learned how to play the puck, and they're ridiculous.
Basketball, they're about 5-10 years ahead of this because it's already a tall person's sport. But the basketball players have shifted where it's no longer acceptable just to be the tall guy. You have to be the tall guy who plays like you'd say the small guys 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like Giannis shoots threes, he dribbles up and down the court. Like they now it's all about being a wing who can do everything on the basketball court. You no longer have really the Shaq positions where it's the guy you put him under the basket, you play in the post. Now the big guys are doing everything. And hockey is going to get to that point. As humans evolve and we have more years on this earth, we're just going to get better at doing things. And tall people are going to get better at hockey. And then, because like, how are you going to? There's going to be positions for the small guys. Like, they're not going to go away, but the tall guys are just going to adapt and they're going to get better. And they're going to be the high skilled guys as well as the small guys.
My favorite thing about like historical figures that were looked upon as like giants is they're like, I don't know, 5'11".
Yeah. Yeah. When 5'9" was tall because the average height was 5'5". Yeah, it's crazy. Well, this is, I don't know. I just love shit like this in hockey. It's going to be exciting and fun, and I couldn't wait to tell you guys about them.
Totally.
So, shout out to everybody going to the Montreal Grand Prix, the Circuit de Villeneuve, this weekend in Montreal. Big shout out to the Canadians involved, Lance Stroll, Nicholas Latifi. We expect him to finish 18, 19 on the grid.
Stop it.
But listen, Lance Stroll has won a race. And Nicholas Latifi seems like a wicked fucking guy.
Just can't drive a car.
They can't, both of them they're both in the shittiest cars this year. But anyway, I guess, Jesse, do we talk about this or no? Do I talk about making an appearance on that I'm making?
Oh, yeah. So, bonus episode coming of the Jesse Blake Sports Report. It'll be dropped later this afternoon. It's going to be Adam Wild's first appearance. We're going to be talking about the Canadian Grand Prix. We're going to do a little preview, and then I'm going to check in with you again on Monday to see if what you said happened.
The JBSR.
Yes.
Piss!
Hey, piss. I can't wait till they make piss legal in the NHL. What was the player?
Permanent injured status.
Permanent injured status.
Ben Bishop is piss.
Permanent injury status, sir. Piss.
On
Where
Apple
can we
TV.
watch Ted Lasso?
Hey,
Apple Plus. Holy fuck! Have you guys heard about this? This is crazy. MLS is now on Apple Plus.
Anyway, we're gonna leave you there. Hope you have a fantastic weekend. Go hockey, and we love you. Go McLaren.
Where can we watch the Beatles doc?
I think it's on Apple TV Plus. I haven't seen it yet. Is it good?
It's long.
Okay. Then I probably won't see it. I don't have the attention span.
What is it on?
Apple TV Plus.
Steve
Dangle Podcast.
Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada's Sportsbook.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.